a finale, which was amazing. It was really good. Where's the camera? There we go. It was amazing, and was a little bit surprised um, at the reunion. The reunion. First and foremost, I have to talk about. I have to talk about uh, how Survivor used to do the fan favorite thing, special thing. They used to do award money to fan favorites back in the day, and I like how that whoever that artist is of Survivor, how that she awarded money to her three favorite players. However, um, I don't like how they did that. You know why? Jamal was awarded $15,000. Now, some people will be like, he should be grateful that someone thought of him. But this lady, this woman, this female awarded three people money. She picked one man, two women. Um, in all fairness, in all fairness, it should have been a stacked reward system. She maybe should have rewarded her third least favorite, the 15, second favorite, the 50 or whatever, and then her most favorite, 100,000. But she didn't do that. She gave him $15,000. Then she gave um, Elaine and Janet $100,000. That was just that was way imbalanced. And if I were Janet and or Elaine, I would have stopped it and said, "Hey, I'm emotional. I'm glad that this person awarded me $100,000. I want to take 20 of my $1,000 and give it to Jamal. You know, because that just wasn't fair. That wasn't fair. The disparity of amounts, and then to award two people $100,000 and just one 15,000. I didn't like that at all. That was not fair. So I bring that up because first and foremost, I wanted to talk about that. I was like that was just unfair. But then secondly, with the whole Me Too movement thing and the harassment that was involved and how that was handled. Um, Very one-sided. It really seems like there's this women's agenda that is being pushed, and for some reason, men are not being treated fairly at all. And I don't know what it is, you guys, but someone needs to say something about it. And if it's going to be me, then I'm going to say something about it. Okay. So so let's start with how CBS handled it. Okay. Second to last episode came down to seven. Um, Janet, I think, was voted out. Not Janet. Who was voted out? I forget who was voted out at seven. Um, but Krishna, maybe I don't know. I forget. And then we got who was voted out at seven. And then we got a special announcement that Dan wasn't returning on that episode to go into the finale of the final five. So, but we didn't know why, and we didn't understand why he just got ejected from the game. What I was led to believe was he touched a staff, some of the staff inappropriately, and that got him ejected from the game. So that wasn't confirmed. Just that was just kind of implied. So that being said, I think us as fans, and I've been watching this season since Tocantins, which Taj from SWV is the one that really got me hooked on Survivor, and I have not missed a season since. In fact, I've gone back and watched a couple of seasons. One of the seasons I went back and watched was, I think, one of the first seasons I went back and watched was Gabon and then Pearl Island. So, so I really wanted to know who Rupert was and who Sandra was. So, yeah. Uh, with that being said, um, CBS took the liberty to take a portion of the reunion show to address what happened to Kelly, which, uh, in all fairness, should have been addressed. They should have, they should have given her, listened to her on what was happening, especially with all the cameras around, all the footage that they had. Now, here's where it gets icky for me. Um, Dan was being inappropriate with his touching to the point where it was making Kelly feel very uncomfortable. And when that started to come up in the show, um, yeah, it was very weird. I haven't watched every single season up to 39. Never, I've never seen anything like this happen in the show. I think maybe the closest thing was when Jeff called out Zeke. So, but with that being said, it got more murky when two of the players, one being Elizabeth, who had no dealings with Dan's inappropriateness, used it as gameplay to their advantage in the game. That's one. Two, the murkiness was old school Janet, who connected with old school Dan, who at first was trying to protect him, but then when the women went to her as gameplay and and voiced their discomfort with him. One being Elizabeth, who was lying all along, and forced her to be put in a position that no one should have been in. Okay. So, and that wasn't properly handled. I mean, yeah, they had a tribal council about it, but that was not well debriefed. And I believe that CBS should and have a moral duty to properly unpack everything that happened in that whole scenario and hold everyone accountable of their actions. Um, Dan's voice has been muted. I don't think it should be. I don't think his voice should have been. I don't care about the hate mail. I don't care about all of that. You got people that's just gonna hate and make threats and say this and that, and there's a culture, there's a cancel culture as well that's involved all this, and as Americans, we have to be able to stand up to all this and say, no, we're Americans. This is the home of the free, the land of the free, the home of the brave. We cannot allow a culture to define how we take action, and in a sense of a double standard, because there's a double standard that's going on. There's this. Okay, Kelly was being inappropriately touched. She should have been hurt. Actually, she was hurt, and they try to flip it around because in that moment when she was doing her confessional, production crossed that line, crossed the game line, and said, "Do you want us to do something about it?" At that moment, if Kelly, because she's in a game, she's torn, she's in this game, you know, uh, and she had to make a decision. Is this serious enough? Is this severe enough for me to make a big deal about? and she's decided not to. Now it's like it's been spun where she's like, she was all speechless and stuff because at the end of the day, it was settled. She was making confessionals, and then she was saying, this is inappropriate. I feel this I feel uncomfortable. Then production said, do you want us to do something about it? She said no. Then they turn around and they try to use it as gameplay to get Dan out. Missy is hugely responsible for her actions. Elizabeth is fraudulently responsible for her actions. But none of these women are being held accountable. Instead, they're, even Jeff Probst said, they're getting hate mail and stuff that they don't deserve. No, what do you mean? If Dan's getting hate mail for what he did, then Missy and Elizabeth, are you kidding me? Why aren't they being held accountable for what they did? Why are they not being held accountable? Elizabeth literally lied and said that Dan was inappropriately touching her, and he wasn't. And she said, well, I don't feel comfortable. He didn't do none of this, but if this gets me ahead of the game, then so be it. And nothing is said to her. In fact, she's being protected. Then when all this stuff happened to Janet, and she's trying to protect the girls, and they're being flimsy about it. Oh my goodness. They being so flimsy about it. Put her in a hot seat. She didn't deserve that. She did not deserve not one bit of what happened to her. Now, that tribal council was a very heated tribal council. He was able to voice what he said. Everybody was able to talk. Jeff made it seem like Kelly's voice wasn't being heard, and she wouldn't. No, she was heard. And they asked her if she, if they wanted her to do something, if they wanted they wanted them to do something about it. They asked her if they wanted them to do something about it, and she said no. So, and in fact, she got blindsided. She got blindsided with two idols in her pocket. So anyway, and then when they came back from tribal council, they literally lied and tried to put the target on Janet. They literally lied and tried to put the target on Janet. In fact, Missy and Elizabeth said, if we felt uncomfortable around you, we would have said it. We sleep with you at camp, sleep by you at camp at night every single time. And we say not one word. They tried to make it seem like Janet was making all of this up. So come on, y'all. Come on, CBS. Come on, Jeff Probst. Now, I love Survivor. I've been a lover of Survivor. But y'all need to be held accountable. This double standard that's going on in the United States of America needs to stop. It needs to stop. And this whole debacle needs to be unpacked and fleshed out in its entirety, not just one side. This is totally unfair, and you guys are crossing a line. Like, y'all are literally crossing the line that if y'all don't do something about it, like if this video is not heard, if there's other videos that are not going out like this and not being heard, then I don't know what is going to being made of this, because this is completely wrong. This is totally wrong. Dan's voice needs to be heard. Either way, either if he was being inappropriate or not, he needs to be able to say what happened, and his voice needs to be heard. He don't need to be threatened, not one bit. Missy and Elizabeth need to be held accountable. Kelly needs to come clean about everything. And y'all, this fakeness is starting to really turn me off. And I'm a huge fan of Survivor. I have a catalog of videos, and I love Survivor. But y'all need to be held accountable for what's going on. And with that, I yield back.